When we screen tested Paul Rudd, that was the first time I saw Alicia in the skirt and the knee socks. She and Paul had tremendous chemistry, and it was very, very apparent during the screen test. And it was really at that moment, you just see, oh, wait, she is absolutely this character. I'm Marcia Ross. I'm a casting director and a proud member of the casting branch of the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences. I've cast such films as Clueless, 10 Things I Hate About You, Princess Diaries 1 and 2, Romy and Michele's High School Reunion, The Lookout, 6 films with the great director Walter Hill, including Streets of Fire and 48 Hours. I've also been a casting executive in which I both cast and oversaw the work of other casting directors on hundreds of projects.
Shut up! Totally amazing.
This here is my Clueless casting notebook. As you can see, it's a pretty big book.
I like them big.
It's my lists, it's my availabilities, it's my pre-reads, it's my director session, everything that goes into getting something cast. I see it like a funnel, it's this giant world of actors. And this begins this process in which, you're narrowing down. I'm reading all these people I'm researching, it's getting narrowed down. And finally, at the very end, only one person can play the part. One of the things when we did Clueless, of course, is that you don't just have one person for the part. You have sometimes 2 or 3. People are always, how are we going to cast this? How are we going to cast this? If you think you have 2 choices or more, that is a high-class problem. Here's a list. We still hadn't decided who was going to play the dad. Robert Klein, Jerry Orbach, Chris Walken, Ted Bessel, Bob Gunton, Stephen Lang. These are all people that we were considering. It goes on and on and on. Some people were available, some people weren't interested. This is what a casting session with the director looks like. The first 2 pages are the people that came in to read. And then the people that are in yellow highlights or circled in red, those are people that got callbacks. These last pages are availabilities, which begins sort of the process of funneling this thing down. One of the parts that was really difficult to cast was Christian. That was probably the hardest part we had to cast. It was so specific in the film. And Justin Walker came in to read for me for Josh. And it was like, oh my God, no. This is Christian. This is it. So I said, I'm going to give you the sides for this other part. Come back to read for Amy. And obviously he got the part, which was like unbelievable.
Oh, watch this part. This is good.
The short list for Murray, that was played by Donald Faison, there was Terrence Howard and Lorenz Tate.
Woman, why don't you be answering any of my pages?
Here's Brittany Murphy, had a work permit. Oh yeah, look at that. Brittany Murphy, San Fernando Valley Professional School. I feel sad about Brittany Murphy. Young, talented actress, really came out of this movie fast.
Wow.
We had this role of the DMV tester, and this is a good example of what goes on in casting. It's a small part, but it was an important part. We were doing lists upon lists like Tony Shalhoub and David Hyde Pierce and Michael McKean and Jeffrey Tambor, Stephen Tobolowsky, all kinds of people. Even Andrea Martin we considered, and Dennis Leary. And I saw this actor, Ron Orbach, in a play called Laughter on the 23rd Floor. We had all these famous people on here. It turned out to be Ron Orbach.
Pull over up here and turn off the engine.
Alicia came with the film because Amy had been on her treadmill one night and she'd seen Alicia on an Aerosmith video, and she just said, that's my Cher. And at that time, we hadn't heard her read before, and she did, like in the film, you know how she mispronounces some things? She did that in the readings, and people thought it was so adorable and so funny that those sorts of things got incorporated into the film.
The Haitians need to come to America.
There was many people for Josh. I'm looking at Matt Damon, there's Patrick Dempsey, Jared Leto passed. When I went to meet Amy, I came in with these folders of pictures of actors to show her. And in these folders were Paul Rudd and Breckin Meyer, because I had just finished a project and they had read for me, and I loved them. Paul came in on the second session, and Paul just kept coming back and coming back and coming back.
Are you saying you care about me?
Cool. I did go to the Clueless premiere, which was fantastic. It was at the beach. So I had a pin that I loved, and it was on a dungaree jacket, and it fell somewhere in the sand, and I never found it again. But it was a great party and a very unique way to have a premiere.
As if.
There is a lightning in the bottle kind of element to it, in which all of it just, for whatever reasons, comes together in such a way that it becomes iconic. That's not true of everything. As a casting director, it's really validating when you see that you recognize things in such young actors, and they went on to have wonderful careers. This notebook's even bigger. This is my casting book for 10 Things I Hate About You. I loved working on this film. I loved working with Gil Younger, the director. He was one of those directors who just knew immediately that this was the person.
Couldn't be more perfect.
Heath Ledger in Roar stars as Connor on Universal Television's Roar. Gorgeous and sexy and blonde. Callback, but flat. I remember that day when he came in. He was handsome, he was sexy, and his reading was not good. I brought him back to read for Gil, and the next time he read, it was fantastic. I mean, he just got better and better.
Touching story. It really is.
He shows up in this little red convertible, and he tests with Eliza Dushku and Julia Stiles. His best chemistry was with Julia Stiles. We also tested Josh Hartnett with both actresses. And it was clear that it was Heath Ledger. Then Heath had to leave, and he had to go back to Australia, which meant he wasn't going to be available for rehearsals. And Gil, to his credit, was like, I don't care. I don't need him at rehearsals. This is the actor I want. We will be fine.
That's perfect.
That's Gabrielle Union. She came in, that was it. We never saw anybody else. Boom, he says, we're casting her.
You can be overwhelmed, and you can be underwhelmed. But can you ever just be whelmed?
We checked on Natalie Portman, but she was doing Anne Frank, and we checked on Scarlett Johansson, but she wasn't interested. We decided on these actors, Julia Stiles, who I had seen at Sundance in a small movie, and we went to the studio to present, this is who we want. Except, who are they? They did agree, under the condition that we surrounded them with recognizable people. Well, Joseph Gordon-Levitt was on a show called Third Rock from the Sun. He was a really very successful young actor at the time. And as a result, we were able to populate the film with other actors that were recognizable. That's how we ended up again with, I think, a cast that was like lightning in a bottle. And the movie holds up right now today like when it first came out. It doesn't feel old. And Clueless has that too.
End of story.
I'm here for a meeting with my grandmother.
Gary Marshall loved actors. Everybody who came in, he'd say, do you do any tricks? Do you have any special talents? And people would have to juggle, or, I mean, anything people could do that was sort of crazy and fun, he asked people to do.
Indeed. It is the Queen of Hearts.
I'm really proud of Anne Hathaway. She's really made a great career for herself. The story of Anne, my friend, Molly Lapata, was the casting director, had been working on a pilot. And there was this 15-year-old girl character in the pilot. She said, I think you should meet her. But when I saw this script, it's like I knew that this girl had to be a serious contender for this part. And we did a first round of screen tests. And there was a girl, I think, out of Canada we found that we liked, but just wasn't it. And finally, Anne was coming through LA on her way to go do another job. And she finally came in and she finally met Gary and she finally read. And it was pretty obvious that she was the person.
Why on earth would you pick me to be your princess?
Anne was the person. She could be the Mia that was the klutzy one, you know, and funny. She's naturally very funny. But the most important part of that role was the ability to believe she was the one girl and then transition and totally believe that she's the princess. If you didn't believe that character could be both parts, the character was not going to work.
A princess.
You know, with Julie Andrews, there wasn't even a list. I mean, it was Julie Andrews or nothing. I mean, honestly, I can't imagine anyone else playing this part but Julie Andrews. And I will tell you something, that she is the loveliest woman that you could ever want to meet.
Do people just fawn over you?
So then we did Princess Diaries 2, and we had to find the prince. And that was difficult.
Someone like him?
Yes!
Chris Pine had grown up in LA. His father was the actor Robert Pine. Came in to read for me. I said, you have to come back for Gary the next day. When we did the screen tests, they had incredible chemistry. And Anne read with probably 4, maybe 5 people. One was Seth Gabels, one was Kip Pardue. And, you know, when you see the screen test, he just popped right off the screen with her.
I loathe you.
I loathe you.
The other one, I remember that we wanted somebody from the channel, and we cast Raven in the second Princess Diaries, and she was so wonderful. I also cast a film called Romy and Michele's High School Reunion. Romy and Michele started as a play with Lisa Kudrow and actually Janine Garofalo. Later was developed to be this movie. There is this part that was played by Alan Cumming. I met Alan. And then I went to see him, and I think he was in a Bond movie. And I just absolutely couldn't believe it was the same guy. The part that he plays in the film is he plays different versions of himself. And I knew that this part really, really needed somebody who could be believable as the nerdy person, as the really successful, sexy person. There were so many aspects of this character. I gave Alan the script and asked him to come in to read for them, and, it was just obvious.
Well, I guess that depends on how you define success.
Will Ferrell and Chris Kattan had just come on to Saturday Night Live and brought them in, and they got cast. But, like all films, some things have to get cut, so they did not end up in the final version of the film.
It's like boo-hoo.
For me, I really love helping people. I love discovering people. I love talent. It's the thing I love most, great acting. Casting was just sort of this meld for me. All the casting directors I know, when we find an actor we like, we don't always get to be the first person to cast them. But when we love them and we believe in them, we will keep bringing them in over and over and over again until they finally get cast. I love the fact that I have had also the opportunity to help certain people move ahead in their career by fighting for them, or at the very least, just putting them in front of the right people. In the end of the day, I feel very privileged to have been party to people's careers, to the casting of some great movies, to fulfilling the needs of directors who went on to have good careers, to being able to use the people I saw in things and use the passion for them and their talent to make a difference.